So hi again, I'm Weinstein, one of the alumni of the YSEALI Professional Fellowship Program. I've made two videos before this, so one in terms of application tips, interview, and the other one in terms of how do you pack before you go. And this video, I'll be sharing more on my experience, the whole experience of the YSEALI program. There's so much to say, but I will go a little bit in terms of from the first week to the final week, and what we've gone through. So when we arrived, I was in the economic empowerment theme. So when we arrived, we were in Little Rock, Arkansas. I believe the other previous cohort might have a different arrangement. Even for the future cohort, you might have different arrangement. But the first week was more of an orientation week, so the whole cohort was placed in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, the first week is pretty easy. So the first 2 days is all about orientation. What should we prepare? What do we need to take note of in terms of the placement, ice breaking, knowing each other. The second day is about taxes, because we have to file tax for our program, and we have to find out more about how should we address each other, how do we cope with like culture shock and all that. So it was really helpful. And we even received stipend, some cash when we were there. And there was 2 other days that we had study tour, where we get to visit Innovation Hub, we get to visit those co-working spaces, and we get to hear guest speakers talking about how do they fund companies, and that was really, really insightful. Now in Little Rock, because that at night was really cold. I mean it's cold for me, 12 degrees Celsius, right? Sorry, I can't do the Fahrenheit thing, because in the US they do Fahrenheit, but in the morning it was really hot, like 20 plus Celsius. So we usually wear just a top, and then at night we bring out a jacket. The first week was a time that we get to mingle with our cohorts, and I really appreciate that time with them, because after the first week we are being placed to we're dispersed, right? We're being placed to a lot of different places, and I just want to share some of my cohorts and the place that went. So we have cohorts that went to Detroit, we have cohorts that went to Oklahoma, Texas, San Diego, Seattle, and I think what was that again? I mean Little Rock itself. Okay, and I can't remember the rest. But anyway, so we are all being dispersed from Arkansas, and I was lucky. I got placed to Hawaii, and I just want to share this story about Hawaii. Like, honestly, I cannot express how grateful I am being in Hawaii. They have this aloha spirit. They really take care of us. We have almost like 7 hosts. So like the first week is this couple that bring us to a different place during the weekend. The second week it's another couple that support us when we fly to the other island. So we have to fly to another island. And then the third week is another volunteer. So it was, the aloha spirit is really strong. So they really support us well. My placement was with Lana Kila Pacific. So the NGO supports people with disabilities. And I learned a new term they call people with different abilities. So I really like it. And I'm being placed, and my role is a consultant, where I go to different departments, understanding their business, give them suggestions, and tell them some highlights, and explain a bit of best practices, and then give them my suggestions. Now, you'll be surprised, because I work Monday to Thursday, so I'll explain why Friday it's not. So Monday to Thursday, and it took me 3 weeks to complete all the departments, including having meetings outside with some collaborators. So I join my supervisor whenever he goes out for a meeting. I join him, and I have to take a TB test, because they're very sensitive in terms of the TB skin test. So I have to do a TB test and a chest X-ray. It's free in Hawaii, but it's compulsory if we have to get a job. We have to work there. So Just want to share a little bit about this NGO's background. They have more than 200 employees, but 79% of them are people with disabilities. I find that really amazing, and I respect their work a lot. So during that 3 weeks, I get to see different departments. I get to meet, different collaborators or potential clients outside of the office. So I go to different places almost like twice a week. So I went to high school to visit the counselor there. I've went to another they call it the rehabilitation center to support them. I went to different kitchens. I went to different training centers, and it was really fun. And the last week, what I need to do is I was doing a report to tell them my suggestions, my findings, the best practices that I found out, and how can they improve. Like, it was an amazing experience. And what's good about this is we get to do a reciprocal exchange project. So now they host me, right? So what I did was I prepared for the US fellow to come to Penang, Malaysia, which is my hometown, for them to experience the centers there, the NGOs that support people with disabilities, their parents, and we want to do a public forum. So the results are not out yet. So when we submit for this reciprocal exchange program, it's compulsory for everyone to do. But when I submit it, we have to wait until end of July to get the news of whether we receive that program. So yes, we have to wait. So hopefully I get to host the US fellow. And for again, so that was how it happened in Hawaii. So we have 4 weeks in Hawaii, right? So I've mentioned Monday to Thursday is our working week. Friday, it's what we call the Educational and Cultural Activities Day. So we have a coordinator in Hawaii. So what she does is she arrange every Friday to have something that's either cultural, educational, like we learn hula dance, we get to go for a cruise trip, we get to meet the Better Business Meeting, Better Business Bureau in Hawaii. We get to go to business meeting as well. We have speakers like an environmental speaker that share with us on the issues in Hawaii. Yeah, so a lot of activities on Friday, more cultural and educational, whereas Saturday, Sunday, it's technically our off day. But our coordinator is so kind that she arranged like our weekend are almost full, except for the first weekend that we arrived because we have to, prepare and buy things and get groceries done, settle down. So the second weekend onwards, she arranged us to go to Pearl Harbor, so we get to visit Pearl Harbor. The weekend after, she arranged a 2 days 1 night trip where we were hosted in the Big Island. So we have a volunteer that hosted us and another volunteer that brought us around the island. And the week after was I actually requested for that, so we went to this island called Kauai Island, and I just want to show you. So this is Rudraksha. So I got it from the Kauai Hindu monastery. Personally, I do pray to Hindu gods. That's why I've been always wanted to visit that temple. My friends were saying maybe because of that I manifested Hawaii, because even long before I got the application approved, I've always wanted to go to the Kauai Hindu monastery. So we get to go there, and the coordinator actually supported us. Of course, for the flight tickets to the different islands and the weekend expenses, we have to cover it ourselves. The stipend, I don't think it's enough because the flight ticket itself costs money. But you get free tickets to the US and you just have to pay that one ticket interstate. It's not that much if you calculate. So do bring extra money. For me, it's because I have to book the flights online. So it charged to my credit card. So you do need a credit card to book. What happened was I booked for the rest, so they pay me back in US. But I end up having a lot of US dollar cash back. Which is not desirable. So do bring your own credit card to get some of the flight tickets, and there are a lot of places that you need to use credit card. Even when you order, we call Uber, Grab, or Lyft. I mean, not Grab, Lyft. Then you need the credit card. And yeah, so the final week was a farewell where we got to wear our national costume. And it was really fun, and we were doing some gifting, So, um, all in all, the whole trip, the placement trip, was eye opening because I can never imagine people being so warm, and they're just really, really kind people. So I just want to remind everyone that do think of of the present that you want to bring. Make sure they have certain meaning to it. It doesn't have to be very expensive, but it has to be something that is from your country and gives the meaning of what you do or who you are as a person. What I did was on the last day of my placement, I actually ordered we call it like chashu bao. The order the in Hawaii they call it manapua. So it's just buns, right? Buns, and I bought those buns and I brought it to the office, and they really really appreciate it. So finally, I just want to say like the person that gives me the most impact in Hawaii is actually Uncle Roger. So he is the person that hosted us in his apartment. So because we have three ladies, so he can't stay with us. So this is his another apartment. But he was so kind. He cooked for us. He spent time with us. He brought us around, and it felt like a family. And I really wish that he can come over to my country, you know, sometime soon. So that was how my experience was. I don't think I want to go in detail in terms of what I do every day, but I just felt like if you want to go there, do plan your weekend properly, because if you don't plan, you might just end up either staying at home, cleaning up, or you don't really go anywhere. So I find like the weekend thing, we actually plan long before we arrive. We arrived to Hawaii. Like they gave us a schedule, and on the first day, all the schedules are out. So if you have somewhere that you really want to go, don't forget you need to get approval. So we need to send to the American Council to receive approval. So if you do have like, oh, I want to go to Los Angeles, I want to go to like interstate, do plan beforehand. And once we're there, then you have to submit the form for the approval, and once approved, then you can buy your flight tickets there. Yeah, so the last week was our YFF. So it's the Fellows or YSEALI Fellows Forum. So we have our fellows from different countries gathered together, and that was in Washington D.C. So we only have one day. I mean, for my theme, some other teams they arrive a few days earlier. So for my theme, we only arrive one day. Uh, 2 days before the YFF. So once we arrive, we only get to have dinner, and then the next day, it's our debrief for our theme only. So it was quite nice because we have a T-shirt that drawn by one of our fellow. So she drew it out, and then another fellow printed the T-shirt. So it was really nice because we got all a T-shirt that it belongs to the economic empowerment team. So we like that really much. So after the debriefing, we have time to go to museums. It was not much time, so I only managed to go to I think one museum so far. And then the next day is the Wesley Fellows Forum. We and that was that goes on for 2 days. Sorry, 2 days. Yes, and on the last day before my flight was at night. So in the morning I get to go to museums again. I mean, I personally I like museums, and if you like to shop, then go ahead. Like there are a lot of places that you can shop. I think that was about it. The in terms of the time and where I spent, and I just want to mention this for the last week during the YSEALI Fellows Forum is when we get to meet the other cohorts. I mean the rest of the cohorts, and you will realize like a lot of projects that we do are pretty similar, and the things that we do, we have the same vision, so that really helps for collaboration, and it's not collaboration then, it's collaboration like in the future or even now. So I made a lot of connections there. So do reach out to people that you think you want to know them more. Just reaching out, because you may not know like what projects you may be able to work with them in the future. Personally, I met a lot of interesting people, inspiring people, and so don't be afraid. Just go out and talk to them. It will be tiring, yes, especially for people who are not used to socializing, but it's just 2 days. Okay, just get it. Talk to people, and you'll be done in 2 days, right? So the total program is 6 weeks. It may seem like it's pretty long, but when it's there, like time passes so quickly. I just can't tell you how grateful I am for this YSEALI experience. It changes my mind, even in terms of spirituality as well, and it changes my perspective, and it adds a lot of connections. And because I'm getting married, like a lot of YSEALI fellows are actually coming over to celebrate my wedding, and they come from different countries. So can you imagine how strong of a friendship we can make from this YSEALI experience? And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I just felt like the highlight for the whole YSEALI trip is really about genuine connection, not only with your fellow cohorts, but also with your placement hosts, with the people you meet in the States. So good luck. Don't worry too much, really, because my experience is my experience. Like, when I share this with my fellow cohorts, most of them don't have similar experience, but they share the common thinking is that genuine connection is the one that connect us all. Is the highlight of the YSEALI experience. So all the best to you, and I hope you have a good experience for your YSEALI in the future. All right, bye.